Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Wednesday. Glad to have you join me for a few minutes. Lots to cover again today. There appears to be a divide between the former DOGE czar and President Donald Trump. Elon Musk slammed the GOP tax bill over deficit impact, calling it a disgusting abomination. We have the latest between Mr. Musk and Mr. Trump. The White House launched a website yesterday where you can tabulate how much the big, beautiful bill will personally save you if lawmakers pass the sweeping legislation. Stick around. I'm going to tell you exactly where to find it in today's show. And a new development in the case of the Colorado man accused of setting a peaceful protester on fire Sunday. His family was taken into federal custody yesterday, and their visas have been revoked. We have the latest update on this as well. California Democrat Representative Maxine Waters, her campaign was fined $68,000 for violating federal campaign finance laws in 2020. This is not the first time Ms. Waters has been fined and has had some issues with campaign finance. Joy Reid floats speculation that her race and anxiety surrounding Donald Trump played a role in MSNBC firing her. We have Ms. Reid as well. And Buc-ee's files a buck wild lawsuit against South Carolina, another retailer in South Carolina, for infringing on the beaver logo. We have this story as well.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
So is there a firestorm brewing between Elon Musk and the White House over the big, beautiful bill, Trump's signature tax and spending package? Well, as you know, this thing passed the House last week? Barely. 2 Republicans defected. Rand Paul says it's a no-go in the Senate. And now Musk is lighting it up on X, calling it a disgusting abomination. His words, not mine. So what is Elon Musk's beef? What's his problem? Well, he says the bill is packed with waste, stuffed with pork, and undoes the cost-cutting that he led before leaving DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Remember, this is the same guy Trump appointed to slash waste and streamline operation. Now he says the bill undermines all the work he and his team did. Musk also helped launch the Department of Government Efficiency until his time as a special government employee expired last week, and a close ally of the Trump administration slammed the bill in a post on X as well. So where are we on this? Well, Musk wrote first, "I'm sorry, but I can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination," he wrote. "Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." He went on to add, "It will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit to $2.5 trillion and burden American citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt." But the White House, they're not backing down. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stood her ground when asked by Peter Doocy if they were concerned with Musk's comments, saying that the president is sticking to it and defending the bill as a win for America.
And something that just crossed, Caroline, how mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
Well, I guess that settles that. Looks like the president is going to stand behind his big, beautiful bill. Now, you have to also consider, and this is far from over, there's a lot of moving parts. There's going to be a lot of drama. We'll be talking about this quite a bit in the coming days, if not weeks. Senate Majority Leader John Thune actually tried to split hairs, saying that Musk's cuts were on the discretionary side, while this bill deals with mandatory spending. Translation, we like what Elon did, just not in this bill. Senate Republicans are weighing potential changes to the bill as the upper chamber prepares to take up the legislation, setting up what could be a contentious amendment process in the Senate, where you have Republicans holding a very slim 53-47 majority. However, they'll need 51 votes to push through the legislation via reconciliation, which gives the party little room for defections, and there's already hints and rumors of some defections. Let's start with Senator Rand Paul. Even after being challenged by President Trump, he still says he will likely oppose the bill because it includes a debt ceiling increase, while Senator Ron Johnson has said he wants to see more spending cuts before he'll feel comfortable supporting it. So here's the question. Is this bill a step forward for our country, for American finances, or a step backwards on accountability? You've got one of Trump's own former appointees calling it bloated, while party leaders try to thread the needle between loyalty and logic. Bottom line, if the guy you picked to root out government waste is calling your bill a disgrace, is it time to listen? Is it time to maybe take another look? And maybe Elon Musk is saying this now, knowing that it's about to go through the microscope of the U.S. Senate. Now, yesterday, the White House launched a website where you can actually tabulate how much the big, beautiful bill will personally save you if this passes. If you want to plug in some numbers, go to my website, joeyhudson.com. Just go to joeyhudson.com. You'll see the very first article on there. You'll see President Trump's photo. He's front and center on this page. Just click on the link that I provide in there, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the link, and it will take you to the website. You see this image of the president saying, "We're preparing your tax cuts," alongside the photo and a message celebrating how American industry has thrown its support behind the legislation. And you'll see a sliding rotator of various businesses and organizations, policy wonks who are supporting the big, beautiful bill. And as I said, the site features a calculator that tabulates the tax savings Americans can expect if the legislation passes. The calculator asks you to input your weekly base pay, weekly tip amount, weekly overtime premium, and then it will help you determine the savings. Fox News Digital used an individual as an example, receiving $665 in weekly pay, $260 in tips, and $100 in overtime premium pay. That would translate to $2,246 in yearly savings and $187 in monthly savings, according to the calculator and according to the numbers they put in. If a person takes home $200 a week in base pay, $400 in tips, and $200 in overtime, they would see $2,954 in yearly savings or $246 in monthly savings, again, according to Fox News and some of the scenarios they ran. The big, beautiful bill would eliminate taxes on overtime and tips, which are two focal points of President Trump's tax policies. And he rallied voters at the polls in 2024 saying, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. So that's where we're headed. The new website also promotes more than 1,000 endorsements from American industries, organizations, including support from businesses like Uber and DoorDash. President Trump has repeatedly called on lawmakers to pass the sweeping legislation to fund his agenda. Back in just a week or so ago, he posted on Truth Social, Republicans must unite behind the one big, beautiful bill. Not only does it cut taxes for all Americans, but it will kick millions of illegal aliens off of Medicaid to protect it for those who are the ones in real need. So go to joeyhudson.com, click on the link, put in some of your numbers. It's a really pretty simple calculator, and see how much the big, beautiful bill could potentially save you. I'd love to hear from you. Once you do this, email me, text me, let me know how it works, how much money you're going to save. I'd love to get a cross-section of those of you who are able to do this, and we'll share that on tomorrow's show. So go to joeyhudson.com, click on the very first article there with the President Trump, and put your numbers in this calculator and see how much money you're going to save. Coming up, there are some congressional Republicans who are firing back at Elon Musk, saying that he's off base with his criticism, that the bill is actually a good bill. I'll share that with you up next. Joey Hudson here. America is facing a health crisis, and the answer isn't more meds. I lost over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan without Ozempic or any weight loss shots. Don't settle for a lifetime of medication. GLP-1 injections like Ozempic help some people lose weight, but they come with side effects, high cost, and most gain it back when they stop. At PhD Weight Loss, we reveal Big Pharma's big secret. Your body already makes GLP-1, the appetite-fighting hormone. Our program helps your body make it naturally so you'll drop the pounds faster. With the PhD method, no side effects, no long-term risk, no rebound weight gain, just natural, lasting results, all without hunger or cravings. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. Discover your body's true potential without a shot. It's free and gives you the keys to your personalized plan. Do like I did and don't trade your health for a quick fix. Call now at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or visit myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. Before we move on from the topic of the big, beautiful bill, one other quick thing. Some top congressional Republican leaders fired back yesterday at Elon Musk and his criticism of President Trump's one big, beautiful bill, with one calling the former White House senior advisor terribly wrong. Here's the story. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, House Speaker Mike Johnson, both reacting to Musk calling the funding mega bill a disgusting abomination yesterday. I mean, Musk really lit into this. I think his big beef is that it potentially, because there's not as much spending cuts in the bill as a lot of us would like, Musk believes that his work was for nil, that basically all the money that he was able to save the government, they're going to spend it. They're going to add this into the big, beautiful bill. That's his criticism. Now, Johnson said Musk is terribly wrong. House Speaker Mike Johnson saying that, and Senator Thune just brushed off the criticism as a difference of opinion. Musk, less than a week after leaving his role in the Trump administration as head of the Department of Government Efficiency, took to X yesterday, just to kind of give you a quick summary here, if you just joined me, saying you just can't stand it, saying I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know who you did wrong. You know it. He went on to explain some of his criticism. Well, Senator Thune told a gaggle of reporters yesterday, we obviously respect everything that Elon did with DOGE. On this particular issue, we have a difference of opinion. I think it's rooted in the fact that he's accepting CBO assumptions that are built upon a static scoring assessment of the effect that these changes will have on our economy, he said. Senator went on to say, all the modeling that we've seen suggests that the changes are being made are going to lead to significant growth. You couple the growth with the biggest spending reduction in history, and you'll see a reduction, not an increase, in the deficit. Now, the problem, or the thing that concerns me, is I'm almost thinking nobody really knows, because you have some who say that the big, beautiful bill is going to just increase our debt tremendously. And you have others like Senator Johnson and House Speaker Johnson who say, well, our economy is growing so fast that we're going to outgrow this. We'll be able to, our economy will grow faster and we'll be able to make up this deficit. Speaker Johnson told reporters that my friend Elon is terribly wrong about the bill. He said, but for him to come out and pan the whole bill to me is just very disappointing. Very surprising in light of the conversation I had with him yesterday. The speaker said, it's not personal. I just deeply regret that he made this mistake. As for Trump himself, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, I shared with you earlier, said we already knew where Elon stood on the bill, and we're just going to stick to our plan. Said it doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it. Senator Thune, my hope is, as he has an opportunity to further assess what this bill actually does, that he'll come to a different conclusion. What do you think? Is Elon just kind of gone rogue on us, or is he bringing up legitimate concerns? Moving on, ex-MSNBC host Joy Reid spoke out about her show being canceled, speculating that, of course, her race, always got to throw the race card in there, and that network anxiety surrounding President Donald Trump played a big role in her ultimately being fired from the liberal network. Here's Ms. Reid.
There are lots of people at the network who are critical of Donald Trump. I mean, and they're still critical of him, I'm assuming, you know. So yes. I don't think that's, but I do know there is a lot of anxiety both there and I think in every media. We're seeing it at CBS, we're seeing it at ABC, where allegedly the View hosts were told not to go so hard on Trump, where there's a push for people to, hey, do less Trump, do more entertainment, don't be hard on him.
I read that.
Litigious. There's a fear of him. So I think there's, you know, and obviously I'm
But
not
Joy,
just,
let's be honest, you were no different than Nicole or Rachel Maddow.
Well, only in one way was I different. I'm a black woman doing the thing. You know what I mean? And so I'm not different, but I'm different.
Oh, yeah, I'm a black woman. They fire me because I'm a black woman. Reid was speaking with Katie Couric there in a video that was posted on her Substack page and on her YouTube channel. Look, it's real simple, Joy Reid. Your show just wasn't any good. People didn't want to hear what you had to say. They got over you. Couric pointed out that when she talked about there's no difference between Reid and liberal host Nicole Wallace or Rachel Maddow. And of course, Reid, well, yeah, I'm black. They're white. Reid's show was replaced with The Weeknight. It's an ensemble program featuring former Kamala Harris spokesperson Simone Sanders Townsend, Alicia Menendez, the daughter of a disgraced former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, and Michael Steele, the former Republican National Committee chair who staunchly opposes the GOP now. How do you do that? Speaking of Michael Steele, and I don't mean to digress here, but how do you go from the RNC chair to now you seem to hate everything that Donald Trump and the White House does now, that the GOP is doing? Can anybody explain that to me? And now he's on this MSNBC show. I think what they're trying to do, MSNBC with Weeknight, they're trying to duplicate the Five, having a panel. And I'd much rather see a panel than Joy Reid by herself. Now, even with the new lineup, it's still struggling. Jen Psaki shedding half her audience, her predecessors averaging the same time slot with this other new program is struggling to attract viewers. MSNBC and ABC's The View did not immediately return requests for comment, of course, but it's real simple. MSNBC, Jen Psaki, who wants to see Jen Psaki? If you have something that is compelling, people will watch it. Look at Fox News. You just don't have any compelling. You've got cartoon characters, MSNBC. Reid said that prior to her show's cancellation, she was told that her show was down less in ratings than any other MSNBC show aside from Maddow's. Reid and her former primetime colleagues faced a major ratings decline after President Trump won the election. Look, Americans were over him. Her show, The Readout, said 47% of its total audience, averaging just 759,000 viewers after averaging 1.4 million viewers throughout 2024 leading up to Election Day. Again, people got over her hatred, her spewing her hatred against Donald Trump and the American people. Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. So have you been keeping up with the oversight project and the saga of the auto pen in those final months of Joe Biden's presidency? Let's start with Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy, as he held up copies of former President Joe Biden's pardons yesterday. And he asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt if the Trump administration views them as valid. Doocy presented Biden's last-minute pardons for his family, members of the January 6th Select Committee, and pointed to the very neat signatures that appeared to be written by the auto pen. After pointing to one with what he called a messy signature, Leavitt said that President Trump's administration is, in fact, investigating who was really in charge in the previous administration. Here's the exchange with Peter Doocy yesterday.
Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. When you look at these last-minute Biden pardons, the big ones, Biden siblings, Fauci, January 6th committee.
That's right.
Most of the big ones have the same very neat signature. We would expect that probably to be the auto pen. There is one that looks different. It looks authentic. In fact, if you look at the last name, it almost looks like the president was having a hard time spelling his last name there. Is this White House of the opinion that the only pardon that would count is one that the president signed himself?
It's very interesting. Very interesting props. If you want to bring them to my office later so I can take a closer look, I would like to do that. The president is making a good point when he discusses the usage of the auto pen. Who was running the country for the past 4 years? Perhaps those documents were signed with the auto pen, something that I believe the Department of Justice is looking into. As you saw, Ed Martin made an announcement at the Department of Justice this morning to launch an investigation because the American people deserve answers.
Now, you can see some of these online that Peter's referencing because multiple pages, outlets have printed those, posted those online, and you can see the comparison of the very neat auto pen that they're exactly the like every time versus some that are obviously Joe Biden's original signature. And they look like the signature of an older guy who's having cognitive issues, who's having trouble spelling his name, as Peter said. So the Oversight Project released part 3 of their analysis of the Biden auto pen scandal amid a Department of Justice investigation, we're told. The Oversight Project previously determined that of all the pardons issued on January 19th, they all had the same exact Biden auto pen signature. They gathered every document they could find with Biden's signature, all used the same auto pen signature, except for the announcement that he was dropping out of the 2024 election. Now, according to a new analysis by the Oversight Project, Joe Biden was in D.C. while the auto pen was signing tons of pardons and commutations. But where was Joe Biden? Was he sitting in the Oval Office while the auto pen ran the presidency? On at least 8 occasions, according to the project, Joe Biden hand-signed bills, but the auto pen signed executive orders on the same day. why would he sign some things and allow the auto pen to sign others? If Joe Biden were physically in D.C., why was the auto pen signing important documents? Period. Of all the auto pen pardons issued by Biden or his handlers, whoever was running the pen, 6 pardons were issued while Joe Biden was on vacation in St. Croix. 6 that we know of so far. The Oversight Project reported yesterday, and I read from their report, in Part 3, we found that the Biden White House issued a substantial number of executive orders via auto pen while President Biden was physically located in Washington, D.C. We also found that on at least 8 occasions, President Biden hand-signed bills, but auto-penned executive orders on the same day. We found this trend to be particularly concerning because there is no publicly available justification for why the auto pen would be used on such an important document when President Biden was available in Washington, D.C. to affix his wet signature. They go on. Accordingly, we conducted a similar analysis to determine whether President Biden issued pardons or prison commutations with an auto pen while he was physically present in Washington, D.C. They write, recall, President Biden issued 51 clemency warrants while he was president. Over half, 32, were signed with an auto pen. We pulled the White House press pool summary of President Biden's schedule for the days he issued acts of clemency via an auto pen. The results are alarming, the Oversight Project said. They point out 2/3 of auto pen pardons, including ones for the members of the January 6th committee, President Biden's family members, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, Iranian spies, and others, occurred when Joe Biden was physically located in Washington, D.C. So why were they using the auto pen? The Oversight Project said every single auto pen commutation, including ones that removed the death sentences of nearly every inmate on federal death row, freed Iranian spies, and more, was issued while President Biden was physically present in Washington, D.C. Last month, DOJ pardon attorney Ed Martin discussed Biden's growing auto pen scandal with journalist Mark Halperin on the Two Way Tonight podcast. Ed Martin recently revealed he wrote to the Biden family and others, and a senior Democrat whistleblower came forward with shocking allegations. Martin said a couple people lawyered up. I had a whistleblower in my office 10 days ago, senior Democrat saying, look, it was these 3 people that controlled access, and they were making money off of it. Ed Martin told Mark Halperin, I don't know if I believe it yet, but the point is I think we have to get to the bottom of it for the American people and to protect the process, and that's what we're doing. Now, although Martin couldn't name names, he said the senior Democrat whistleblower worked as a high-level advisor in Joe Biden's 2020 campaign. And according to the report, the 3 gatekeepers who were allegedly selling access to the auto pen were Biden's chief of staff, Ron Klain, Mayo lover and senior White House advisor, Anita Dunn, and Biden attorney, Bob Bauer. Ed Martin said former Biden counsel, Steve Ricchetti, and Jill Biden were also lead characters in the Biden White House. So why does this still matter? Why do we care? Is this not water under the bridge, so to speak? Well, the Gateway Pundit recently pointed out that if reports are accurate, that White House staff may have used Biden's auto pen to execute official acts without his direct knowledge or consent, the legal implications are not just alarming, they're criminal acts. Now, the problem with this, as I see it, is how do you ever prove it? How do you ever prove that the auto pen was used without Joe Biden's direct knowledge? And more importantly, how do you prove the auto pen was used without his consent? He's never going to admit to it. He's never going to say, yeah, I didn't see that. I never authorized that signature. Look, Biden issued wide-ranging pardons in his last weeks, including the controversial one for his controversial son, Hunter, despite promising previously that he would not pardon Hunter. Reports now coming out that Hunter exercised a great deal of power in the Biden White House has some wondering whether Hunter simply issued his own pardon without Joe Biden knowing. Did Hunter particularly just raid his daddy's desk and get some official pardoning paper and stick it in the auto pen? I wouldn't put it past the guy. And I wouldn't put it past Jill Biden as being the center of this, knowing that all this was going on. I suspect Jill Biden probably had a lot to do with those final pardons. But the other question is, all right, let's say they did it. Let's say we proved that they did it. That the former White House chief of staff, some of the higher level officials in the White House, what laws could have been broken? Well, that's interesting too. The Gateway Pundit did a quick analysis. And here's what federal law says. If anyone in the executive office signed legal documents such as pardons, executive orders, diplomatic communications without the president's full and current awareness, they would likely violate multiple federal statutes, including 18 U.S.C. 471, forgery of United States documents. It is a crime to falsely make or use any writing for the purpose of defrauding the United States. Signing the president's name via auto pen on legal instruments without his direct authorization is a textbook example. Maximum penalty for this, 20 years in prison. The other one, 18 U.S.C. Section 912, impersonation of a federal officer. Actually, Joe Biden could be accused of that, couldn't he? Because in those final days, he was impersonating a president. Under this section, pretending to be president, even indirectly by authorizing acts in his name while exercising that power, unlawfully carries up to 3 years in prison. Now, again, I think Joe Biden is guilty of that. He was certainly impersonating the president in those final days. California Democrat Representative Maxine Waters had a bad day yesterday. She learned that her campaign was being fined $68,000 for violating federal campaign finance laws in 2020. Waters' campaign understated contributions and spending by hundreds of thousands of dollars. How do you make those mistakes? She accepted $19,000 in excessive contributions and made $7,000 in prohibited cash in disbursements, according to the documents. Her attorney stated errors were not willful, but due to limited staff availability during the pandemic. Yeah, we're going to blame COVID. And the committee amended reports and refunded excess contributions. Waters has a history of financial problems, including arranging for her daughters to work on her campaign and facing accusations of violating conflict of interest rules in the past. Waters has been known for her opposition to President Trump and made headlines in 2018 for encouraging supporters to confront administration officials in public places. Kind of like what Tim Walz did in South Carolina last week, isn't it? When he declared that Democrats needed to be meaner and that they should just, what did he say? Bully the you-know-what out of Donald Trump. Wow. The family of a Boulder, Colorado firebombing suspect is now in federal custody, and their visas have been revoked. According to senior sources within the Department of Homeland Security, the wife and 5 children of 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Solomon were taken into custody yesterday. A senior State Department official confirmed to Fox News that all visas for the Solomon family have been revoked. In a statement provided by the senior official, the department emphasized its commitment to national security, saying the secretary did exactly what he said he would do: support the administration's objective of getting terrorists and their family members out of America. And the family is being processed for expedited removal, according to the department. In a statement on X Tuesday afternoon, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said her agency is investigating his family to identify to what extent they knew about the alleged attack. Noem said in the Post, Mohammed's despicable actions will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, but we're also investigating to what extent his family knew about his horrific attack, if they had any knowledge of it, or if they provided any support. Now, you remember that he claimed he waited till after his daughter's high school graduation before he committed this horrible act. Now, it looks like she's going to find herself on a flight back to their home country. He's facing a litany of charges, including multiple counts of attempted first-degree murder, first-degree assault, and possession of incendiary devices. Solomon is being held on a $10 million bond. Judicial District Attorney Michael Doherty outlined the severe potential penalty Solomon faces if convicted on all charges related to the attack on Sunday. He faces 16 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 8 for attempted murder with intent and deliberation, and 8 for attempted murder with extreme indifference. If convicted, sentences are ordered to run consecutively. He could face a maximum of 384 years in state prison for those charges alone. In addition, Solomon is charged with 2 counts of use of an incendiary device, which could add up to 48 years, again, if served consecutively. And when you add the federal charges, which he has some of those pending as well, all in all, the maximum possible sentence for all of them would be 624 years if all convictions are handed down and, again, run consecutively. Republican Louisiana Senator John Kennedy took law professor Kate Shaw, took her down a few notches at a Senate hearing yesterday. During the Judiciary Committee hearing, Kennedy pressed Ms. Shaw on her remarks and challenged her to clarify her stance on the nation's highest court. The confrontation centered around Ms. Shaw's comments on her April 22nd, 2024 podcast, where she described certain justices as, quote, evil. When Kennedy asked her which justices she was referring to, Shaw claimed she did not recall using the word evil and suggested it was a possible transcription error. Shaw told Kennedy, "I'll take your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word." However, Kennedy, referencing Shaw's own words, refused to let her off the hook and quoted her podcast. Here's the confrontation.
On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word. But
all right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
Sir, I'm very skeptical. If there's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said.
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical of some members of the Supreme Court.
You made that statement, aren't you?
I'm
you're an officer
Senator, it doesn't sound like something that
I would say. You know what I'm embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil in the classroom,
on
sir.
Your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful of federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon. You're part of what's the problem in all of this.
She had to have known what she was getting into prior to this hearing, right? She had to have known that John Kennedy would not have confronted her with the fact that she had called Supreme Court justices evil if she had not done so. She starts talking about, well, it was a transcription error. No. Senator Kennedy had listened to her own audio. It's out there. The podcast is still out there. And as the exchange grew more intense, Shaw said she had been critical of the court, but never referred to justice in such a derogatory manner in her classroom. She said, I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical of the members of the Supreme Court. That's when Kennedy was not convinced and provided Shaw the exact words from the podcast. Slam, dunk, end of sentence. All in, all done. Shaw is a professor of law at the University of Pennsylvania, Carey Law School. She specializes in constitutional law, administrative law, and civil rights. She previously served as a professor and co-director of the Florsheim Center for the Constitutional Democracy at the Benjamin Cardozo School of Law. Her academic work has been published in leading law journals, including the Harvard Law Review, Columbia Law Review, Georgetown Law Journal. She should have known that Senator Kennedy was going to come in loaded for bear. That was her bad, for sure. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.